What's going on, people? Welcome to Speak Now, Hold Your Peace. I am Say What I Feel, Dre. I say what I want. You know how that go. But I just want to thank you for coming and showing up. First thing I want to do is let you know what we're going to be talking about. I have a few guests here that will introduce themselves. Today we're talking about gun violence. That's a very important topic to all of us, and especially gun violence in our community. So I thought I'd do an episode on this particular topic, man, because I think this is very important. So I got 3 guests with me today. I have Kim Banks, I have Kevin Woodridge, and I have Dr. Damien Cromwell. So I'm just going to go around, just give me a little bit of something about you guys, and then we can go ahead and get started. I'm going to start with Kim.
Hello, my name is Kim, and my son Samad, my middle son, because I have 3 sons. I lost my middle son Samad Frazier to gun violence on December 31st, 2019. He was gunned down here in Somerset, New Jersey, where I live, and because of that, I to continue his legacy, I started a nonprofit called One Family, One Fight, and we're doing a lot of it's a youth-based platform where we're doing mentorship. I also have a basketball league, but it's boys and men's only, and we're just focusing on reaching the youth.
Thank you. Brother Kevin.
Hey, what's up, everybody? My name is Kevin Woodridge. Some of you know me as Jamal. Some of you know me as Kevin. Grew up in the township of Union in the Vauxhall section. Started many programs out there, from basketball leagues, from trunk or treats to just community activism, trying to raise and motivate young men and young women into a positive manner.
Thank you, sir.
You're welcome.
Damien, how you doing, brother?
I'm good tonight. Hope
Dr. Cromwell. Got to put a little respect on that.
Yeah, true indeed. I appreciate that. But I'm Dr. Cromwell, owner and operator of DRC Therapeutic Services, direct realistic counseling, mental health doctor. I have a private practice in North Carolina, sort of with the motto "For Us, By Us," and I specialize in helping people deal with the stressors in our community.
Thank you, brother. Thank you. So I got 3 good people here. So you're gonna get some knowledge today. So I'm gonna start. I don't even know. There's so many things I want to ask and talk about. But I'm going to start with one thing. When I'm cooking and all of that stuff, if I'm making a cake or something like that, it's just not one particular thing that goes in that cake. It takes a whole bunch of different ingredients. So with that said, in terms of gun violence and stopping gun violence in the community, we need more than just one person, more than one ingredient. We need the community. We need, police. But my question, who should play a bigger role? Do you think Congress or lawmakers should play a bigger role or do you think it's the actual people who live in these communities? And I'm gonna start with you, Kim.
I think that it's the people that live in the community. Because, like I said, here in Somerset, this is a middle class community. I moved here from Hillside to get away from gun violence and raise my sons in a better environment. But as you can see, my son still was murdered here in a middle class town. And gun violence started here. Over 2019, there were 3 deaths, and my son was the last death. So if I would have known what was going on, and maybe if we would have taken time as a community to band together, the school system, anybody that kind of knew what was going on, then maybe we could have prevented the other 2 murders that happened after Dominic Frederick was killed on May 25th of 2019. So I just believe that it starts there with the community, us working together. It takes a village, and we've kind of lost that concept.
Absolutely, Kevin.
You know what? And first and foremost, my condolences, Kim.
Thank
You
you.
know, we see it all over the news, and I'm definitely 100% agree with it. It starts with us as people. You could put any law you want into the atmosphere, but it's the people within that community. Uh, no matter you don't know how the person was raised, they come from broken homes, or just the pure pressures of life of being out there with your friends. And like I'm definitely agree with Kim. It starts with the people within the community.
Dr.
Yeah, I agree
Cromwell.
with that too. I agree with that too, and condolences to you too, Kim. That's heartbreaking to hear that, and
Thank you.
I appreciate your strength and your ability to speak out. I'm sure you'll touch somebody. I think a combination of both. I do think the community is the starting place, but I think that there should also be more programs that the government offers to people that can serve as mentors that's straight from the community. Let's start hiring those people that, are respected people in the community because we don't have Malcolm X, we don't have Martin Luther King anymore, and most of our youth today get their inspirations from rap artists, and that's who their leaders are, Jay-Z or whatever. But at the same time, in those songs, they're talking about and perpetuating the acts of violence. So I think that if the government was able to create, opportunities, employment opportunities for people that's well respected to take leadership roles, sort of like Kevin was saying, and start leagues and have movie nights and just start doing some things more positive to uplift people and maybe curb some of the violence in there. But it is going to start with the community and leaders in the community.
Right, right. And that was my next question. Do you guys think there should be more leaders playing a bigger role, like fraternities and sororities, which we know they are. There's plenty of fraternities and sororities that's in the community, pastors, and just other community leaders that I haven't mentioned. Do you think that they should play a bigger role?
I do.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I
Okay.
do.
Go ahead, Kim. You can go.
Oh, no, go ahead. I'm sorry, Kevin.
Nah, ladies first.
Okay.
Absolutely.
I didn't want to hog it up. I didn't want to hog it up. So,
It's
but
all good.
yeah, I really think that it really should be all of that, all of the above. So I'm having a Youth Over Guns walk. This would be my second year for the Youth Over Guns walk. And this year, I want the focus to be where I'm having sororities and fraternities coming in. I want the community leaders to come in and talk to the kids. It's not just about us walking and raising money for my foundation, but it's about also teaching and helping the kids to learn. My basketball league is different. It's not just about come play basketball and I take your money. We're doing a mentorship program that goes along with it, and it'll include a bunch of things like learning responsible decision making, um, life skills. They don't know how to tie a tie, what to do in an interview, things like that. Like we really have to. I think it should be all of us working together in the community to raise the kids and provide programs. There's no YMCA here. They're just building a community center. There's nothing for the kids to do. So what do? They're in the streets.
Right. Okay.
No, it's definitely important for pastors, for people in sororities, because those kids that are coming up are the future. Like perfect example in the community that we from, Drake Vauxhall. You know, back in the day, it was so many things for us to do out there. As we got older, either the older men and women, they died off and didn't show the community what they were knowing. We just was doing our own thing. So one thing that I tried to provide was, I said, you know what? People said, oh, the town doesn't do nothing for over here. I said, no, they can. Let's write these letters. Let's start the petition. Let's get this going. And once that got going, it really empowered other people to start doing things and implementing things in the community, which is great. But it starts with the pastors. Hey, if you're a pastor in the community, you should be going door to door. Why not have church service outside? People might not want to come inside. You know what? Let's open it out for everybody. Go door to door. What happened to the door to door services we used to have? Just being in the park in the summertime, arts and crafts, just something different, So I definitely I think it starts, and I know it starts within the community, and you need more of those people in the community because, one day I might want to be in a sorority or a police officer someday, just any little thing. It has to start in the community.
Dr. Cromwell.
I agree with that. I also think that you could kill two birds with one stone. When you have people that come home from prison, felons for having guns or perpetuating gun violence who can't find jobs, we can employ them in the communities to be people who can give the real insight. I think what why my career is so successful is authenticity. So I think the fraternities and the sororities, Phi Beta Sigma, I'm a member of that. I think that we're good, but if you're talking to a population of young guys that struggling to finish high school and can't even conceive, going to college to be a part of a fraternity and just having a real life experience or having that real conversation with somebody that has perpetuated those crimes and had to pay society back and give them a real live view about what they see, because it's an illusion that the media creates, it's an illusion that videos create, it's an illusion that these movies make, that it seems easy to take a life. And I've talked to people that have come home from taking lives and they had to be in therapy with me, and it's not really that easy to take a life, and the way you feel after you do that, it's just not like Hollywood the way they make it seem.
Right.
So I think somebody giving some real perspective about that would be good.
Okay. Dr. Cromwell, do you think a lot of these kids are just angry? Like, and when I think about like teens shooting other teens in our community, getting upset over small time beefs and small beefs, what we call small, they may think is major. Just angry. Do you think they're just angry?
Definitely, I think they're angry for a lot of reasons. I think it starts from the home. In some cases, it starts from the home, and then you just implode and you take it out on society. But even as parents, I'm totally against physical reprimands. When you spank a child or you beat a child, you're teaching them that the way that you get a controlled behavior is through a violent act. So it starts at 4 and 5 when you start popping them on the leg and they respond and do what you tell them to do. Then they learn that, if I use violence, if I can have the upper hand, I can get people to move how I move. So I think the responsibility starts in the home first. Then once we have these issues in school, instead of just ADHD or suspending them or for fighting, let's have some real what's the core of it. And the social media, when the beef start, I think more adults, more people in the community can get involved and try to stop that.
Right. And one thing I was thinking about before is there's a gap, like there's like a huge gap in the relationship between some communities and the police, period. I think community policing is good because it gives you the opportunity to get to know, the people in the community. And I think when you get, we have this no snitching rule, we don't talk to the cops, but I think if, some of the community members, the community in general, get with police officers and just see them every day walking the beat and establishing that relationship, I think we're more likely to report crimes, gun violence crimes, or I've read articles where somebody in the community called police and said this person had guns. They seen this person, they saw it and they reported it. And you don't get that much in some of these communities. How do we change that? Like community policing, it sounds simple, but how do we do it? Kev, I know I've seen you work with the police department and You do a very good job of doing it. How'd you do it, man? How'd you approach them?
So to go to your point, like a lot of big cities have big programs like the NYPD, LAPD. They have community policing programs, believe it or not.
Mm-hmm.
Where they do great work within the community. But when you come to like these small towns, they don't really have a lot of community policing. And then another thing is a lot of small towns, they do have the good thing about small towns, they have the people that are from there that come from when they're young to older, their parents might have been police officers, their grandfather, they come up.
Mm-hmm.
So what you're seeing now is you're seeing a lot of police officers that are not from that particular community. So they don't have the same connection as somebody else has somewhere else. But basically how I did it, I used to work for the police department as a parking enforcement a couple years ago, was then turned to my job now as a special event coordinator for the township union through the recreation department. So for me working with them, I got a chance to see how it is as a parking enforcement agent, hearing the calls come in to doing community events, to doing the recreation stuff. So I can tell you first thing, it's interesting. If you don't know the job of a police officer every day, you never know what they're going through, just like you never know what a person is going through every day.
Right.
You know,
right.
So not to go off subject with that, that's another story. But your question was, are kids angry or just community policing?
And just both. Yeah, how'd you, in terms of did you have to submit any type of plans of what you wanted to do when you held these events and stuff like that?
Absolutely. It starts writing letters to your township committee, your mayor.
Okay.
You know, every municipality has different leadership how they do it, but you write them, tell them your ideas. You know, I can remember being in an office with our township administrator, telling him what house music was. He had no idea what house music was, who Teresa Griffin was, and just selling him all that. And then that happens. And then a community basketball game saying, you know, the biggest thing is, well, these people might come from. I said, listen, you can't think like that. I said that was times then, you know. So I've been in the war room and it got heated, but just trying to get them to understand. You know, the biggest thing is trying to get people to understand your feeling, your compassion.
Mm-hmm.
That's probably one of the hardest things to do. But, you know, once people get it and see it, they're like, okay, it's not as bad. So my thing, I work with police officers all the time, but a lot of people you see on the news, they don't want to, but it has to be programs where it's just more of an understanding.
Right. Yeah, and I think I was watching a special. I think it was like a CNN special. There was a cop who he was being interviewed, and he was telling a story about community police and how important it is. And he said him and his partner was a white guy, white officer, and he said they were walking the beat and guys was playing cards and they was just getting loud, but they was just talking smack to each other, talking sports to each other, just getting real loud. And the police officer went straight to his gun like there was a problem. And he said he was explaining to the officer, the white officer, that that's just how we are in our community. Like a lot of us, we get loud, we talk sports, and that's how we are. And
hey Dre, not to cut you off.
Mm-hmm.
So Kim, you do basketball leagues in Somerville, right? Somerset?
Yeah, Somerset. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So I'm not sure if you work with the police. Okay, so this is perfect. Mm-hmm. So somebody had gave me an idea, which is great. They used to have these PAL leagues, right?
Right. Yeah.
Where the police officers were the coaches, right?
Right.
So now you got police officers as coaches, and then what happens is with police officers, you know this kid from 7 to 15, 16. The kid gets the license. I know the same police officer. Kid gets pulled over, right? It's officer. Oh, it's my basketball coach. I know, but you got another partner in the car that might say, you know what, I don't know, but no, this is a good kid. So I think a lot of that, like even what you're doing, you could take the idea and run with it. Is try to get some police officers to be coaches.
That's a
Right.
good idea.
You know, it's a good idea. I didn't even
Yeah.
think
Yeah,
about that because that was something I was struggling with. Like, how do we bring the community together? Because
right.
with Samad's situation, he was allegedly murdered by 5 of his classmates. So this really is a unique dynamic here because you have to deal with all of that and then trying to pull the community together.
Right. So
Wow.
it's just um it's a lot of things can happen, and I like I said, we can get off this live after that. If you need me to help you write a letter, I'm all for it.
Yes, I want your help.
That's
Thank
what's
you.
up.
No
That's
problem.
definitely what's up. Yes, indeed. Let me ask you a quick question here. You know, there's so many guns in the community. In terms of getting access to a gun, it's not that hard. It's not that hard. So it's not that hard to get them, but it's really hard to get them off the streets. Um, you guys got any suggestions or anything that you would think would get them guns off the street? Buyback programs, anything like that? Have you ever experienced any other programs that gets guns off the street?
Can I go first?
Go ahead. Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. I say this all the time, and it wasn't the guns that killed my son. It was the people that was behind the guns.
Mm,
So if guns were made for us to protect ourselves in different situations, educating these kids on the reason why we use guns and not glorifying them in music videos or TV or whatever the case may be, we need to have education about protecting ourselves with a gun. It's unnecessary to have a gun to walk the streets, to kill somebody or to hurt somebody or to use it to whatever you want to do it besides protecting your family if somebody invaded your home. So
right,
this is why for me personally, my fight is not um the national level of fighting the guns. It's about educating these kids on what to do with their anger, what to do with whatever they're going through at home.
right. And I think that's where Dr. Cromwell comes in. Um, I know I think there's a mental health piece to every situation, every problem, and
Definitely.
you know what I mean. So, can you talk more about that in terms of
Well,
the mental health piece?
definitely. I just think, I think that progressively we're moving in an area where more African Americans, I mean, we talking about our community, so I'm just going to focus on African Americans. I respect all communities. I'm multicultural, but gun violence in particular in this area, I'm talking about African Americans communities. Respect to everybody. But so the bigger movement now is where we're seeing people like Jay-Z who's coming out and saying, I'm going to counseling. You're hearing Charlemagne the God, and you're hearing more people be proactive and speaking about counseling. I think our community is becoming more accepting of it. And a lot of the stereotypes are being broken as far as don't go talk to somebody or don't have your child on medication. I know for myself, I employ an African American nurse practitioner. So my clients feel good when they're amongst their same people who's telling them. So I get a different view about the medication and a different view about therapy because I'm talking to somebody that looks like me. And it's not just germane to our community. I just think in mental health, period, people like to talk with people that you have a commonality with. So I think as the message is getting out and the pandemic and all of these things, I think that even for younger people, becoming a therapist is going to be a big career for African American, especially for African American males. A lot of my clients, I think I'm good at what I do, but a lot of my clients will tell me that, I came to you because there is nobody else that looked like me. I have tattoos everywhere, and it's like somebody asked me one time, why do you look, dress, and talk the way you do? Because 99% of the people I deal with look, talk, and dress like me. So I make it feel comfortable. I make it feel like we busting it up when we really delivering cognitive, rational therapy, but it just feels like a smooth conversation. So
Right.
I
Hey,
think that there is definitely a mental health component to it.
and it's funny that you say that because I thought about this the other day. Um, when we go out, I'm in mental health too now. So when we go out, before COVID, when we go out to see the families, we were not allowed to wear jeans We were not allowed to wear shirts that didn't have a collar. We pretty much had to be dressed up. We had to wear a tie. So I went to this one house, African American family, and I sat in that house for an hour doing a individual service plan, and they wouldn't practically say anything to me, man. They wouldn't give me hardly any information. And these assessments, you know, Dr. Cromwell, these assessments, they go deeper than what's your name, what's this and that. They go deep. So I got this suit, pretty much this shirt and tie on, shoes looking real nice, looking like I'm selling insurance down there in the hood. And they wouldn't say anything to me.
Yeah.
I came back the next week. I had dress down day, Friday. Had Tim's, my jeans, nice little polo shirt, whole different game plan. And I asked him, I said, why didn't you speak to me like this, like last week? Were you shy? Was it just that you was the first time meeting me? She's like, no, I just didn't want to mess up. So I'm like, well, mess up how? Well, I just didn't, I want to say the proper words and all of that. And the speech, not to be funny or anything, but the speech was totally different from her speech that week was totally different from the prior week. And it was just that she was relaxed and they feel more comfortable. So
I was intimidating the week before.
Exactly. Exactly. It was very intimidating. And until that, and since then, it's just like, I've made, we have trainings and I made presentations about, how we present ourselves to make them feel comfortable. We need to get on whatever level they are, whether it's a high level or low level, but we need to get on their level. And I know that's a little bit off from gun violence and stuff like that, but it plays a part because if we have to come in and talk to your child about something that has to do with gun violence, we need to be open and have some honest communication. So that it's funny that you say that, man. I was just thinking about that. So let me ask you this. And anybody can answer this. 12-year-old kid comes up to you, says, Dr. Cromwell, Kevin, Kim, this kid keep messing with me. He pulls out a gun and says, I'm going to get him. What do you say to him? Anybody can go first, too.
I'll tell him to report it.
Okay.
I mean, most people sit up here and, we come from that environment where it's not cool to say that you get a little hesitant about saying it because you come from that environment. But honestly, anybody that's listening to this show, if you in your bed, 3:00 in the morning, you hear somebody breaking in your house, your cell phone is right near you. Most people are going to pick up that phone and they're going to dial 911.
Exactly.
So just being honest.
Right.
Being honest about it. Like I'm learning more when I watch these YouTubes, and I think even the streets is talking like this. There's a difference between a person that's in the game and a civilian. I didn't know it was so much respect for civilians. If you're not a part of that life, then that no snitching code don't apply to you.
Right.
The no snitching code really applies to people that's a part of that life. And
Yep.
I hear the gangsters, they say that like he get a pass because he's not in that life. So they're holding each other in their own gang world. They're holding each other accountable for the way that they handle situations. If you're an innocent person, then they saying it's no problem with you telling what you saw. It's no problem with you telling about Johnny pulling the gun out on you because you're not part of that life.
And that's
so
big.
I respect that movement that even the gangs are setting the rules and the culture of what's right or wrong in that type of environment.
Right, and that's big, man. That the gangs are like they recognizing that because a lot of people are not telling, man. They either just fear their life that they don't want to say anything, or they just they going by that rule, no snitching. Okay, what do you say to a kid who has a gun saying he got a beef with somebody, he want to go get him?
I definitely agree with Dr. Cromwell. Absolutely. Obviously, if the kid is coming to you, that means the kid looks up to you because no kid is just not going to come to you. And there's sometimes we got to remember, sometimes we may look at ourselves a different way, but the outside world is looking at us different than what we may perceive what we look at, and I had to learn that, so obviously, absolutely, you want to protect that kid like even if it's not your own kid, you want to protect him or her because they feel compelled telling you have to protect them like your own and find the proper authority and make things happen to protect that kid.
Right. Kim?
I agree.
Okay.
I agree. We really need to And then also too, I would go deeper because I would want to know why would that be your way to handle the situation?
Right,
Why
right,
is that the go-to?
right.
But definitely reporting it. We shy away from that.
Definitely, definitely. So, um, this is a big one right here. This question I'm about to ask y'all is the first, maybe the first or second question I thought about when I said I was going to do this show. So, and I want to get an answer from all three of you. So, unarmed black man gets shot by a police officer. Okay, African Americans, we protest. You see it on TV. Black Lives Matter. You protest. Then I hear a comment on Facebook or somewhere, and I hear them say, "We need to." And some of them are saying, like, and they'll let me tell you what they say first. We need to fight gun violence with black on black crime. We need to need to be protesting black on black crime. Some of them, and I asked them, what do they mean by that? Some of them are saying we need to be. Some of them are saying we need to protest black on black crime first, meaning not Black Lives Matter, police shootings, just black on black crime first. So, and basically they were saying, we could protest, but that's not primary. That's not primary. Some say, well, even though there's a limited amount of protesting with black on black crime, this stuff that hits the world stage, we need to still do something about that. It's just like if your kid is doing something wrong to somebody, to some adult, and you tell that adult, don't touch my kid. Even though he did something wrong, you still say, you approach that adult and say, don't touch my kid. But then when you get your kid in the house, now you get on him about what he has done wrong. So with that said, when we get these black men and women unarmed getting shot, and we start protesting Black Lives Matter, what is your position on, in terms of, do we need to be protesting black on black crime and leave that alone, the big stage alone, or is it both? So what is your position on that? Anybody can, Kev?
We see it a lot. It's hurtful. It's definitely hurtful because you just want to step right in and just protect as the person as to what happened. It's very, very hurtful. And I think that, look, if any of us had the right answer, we all should be running for president of the United States right now. So I think that's like the number one question is how do we protect it? And it's very, for me, the beginning, like I said at the beginning, it starts with us. What are you doing to change? I'm gonna keep repeating that. What are you doing to change it? You can't think about this person over here, this person over. What are you doing to change the narrative?
Right.
After each protest, we march, we go out there, and then it happens again, and then it happens again over here, it happens again over here. Are you going back to your own town to implement something to really get people really excited and some understanding as to these senseless killings and just understanding? So for me, it's you have to be, it starts with the individual.
Okay. Kim?
Yeah, I agree. I think that we should fight both, but at the same token, we're not taking care of what's at home in our communities. And if we're not starting there, how are we going on to a national level? Like we really, really have to. We vote for a president, but do you vote for your mayor? Are you involved with the community leaders? Do you know who runs the businesses in your community? What are they willing to do? Are they hiring the youth? Are they not hiring felons? Are they hiring felons? How involved are you in the community? And I think too, I agree with Kevin. Like it just has to start with us, and then not saying that that is less important, but it's equally important to me because like I said, we turn a blind eye to black on black crime. but we don't turn a blind eye to white on black crime. It's
Right.
equally as important.
Absolutely.
I agree. I agree. What I do like about the Black Lives Matter, I think at the root of it, America, the United States is it's about money, and I think that the more protests that get on the national stage, then we have other nations looking at us. We have other people from other countries that come here. And I think when it boils down to it, it's about dollars and cents. And I think that it's embarrassing when these things happen. It's embarrassing to our leaders, to our president. So I think they'll put more of an effort to try to decrease that. I mean, since the Black Lives Movement really started, now we have in most jurisdictions, or at least a lot of them, you have to wear body cams. I mean, we can't look at it as the answer, but look at the progress that those movements have made. There was a time when police body cams are not new. It's just because of the attention and everything that's being placed, that now body cams are being, put out and police officers are wearing them, so we're able to see things. So I think the bigger the stage is, the more embarrassing the United States looks, the more people from other cultures will want to rectify that so that we look like, the country that we're supposed to be and that we represent what we're supposed to represent.
Right.
The past Donald Trump situation, it just passed. I don't think so much internally. I don't know if America or if the system was more embarrassed for the fact that it happened in the United States, but more so what other leaders are saying now. Now we're looking like third world countries. Now we're looking like a joke. So that's not the reputation that the United States have. So I think the bigger the stage is, the more outside influence will help people inside try to change the narrative. I think that's definitely important.
That's a good point. Good point. I want to shift things just a little bit. Um, Dr. Cromwell, do you think? Let me just say this first. Kids. I've seen a lot of kids in survival mode. All they know is how to survive. And I don't mean like being out in the street homeless. I mean just learning how to survive, taking care of themselves, holding their own, and seeing the things on the street that's making them that much stronger or put them in that much more of a survival mode. Um, Give me a percentage of how much the community environment affects a kid getting a gun. Your percentage, what you think, getting a gun and just participating in gun violence.
I would probably for myself, but 25, 30%
Okay.
comes from there. Yeah, I mean, like Kim said earlier, I think that, we was talking earlier, I forget the key point that she made, but with the movies and the songs, I mean, it's going to exist. It's going to be there. We're not going to eradicate it. And she was saying about how people should have guns for safety and different things like that. So I'm not one that, protests against guns and all of that stuff either. But at the same time, it starts with, the percentage would be based around the community is one place, but what happens in the house? I mean, for our boys, the first thing we usually buy our boys is a toy gun. That's the first thing we do. And then when we buy them the gun, we don't say, this is what a gun is for. You want to be a police officer? Do you want to use? We just get them a cap gun because getting guns and playing pow, 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 playing gangster is the thing that boys do. So you
Right.
grow up
Right.
learning that one of the first tools that your dad gave you for Christmas, he wrapped it up, was a gun. And you want to
Right.
get your BB, and there's no conversation about now you're going to BB guns. Do you understand what BB guns can do in relation to real guns? So now you can't wait till I get a certain age so I can purchase a real gun. But
Right.
there's no accountability or responsibility from within the home to say this is what the gun is for. This is what you do. You protect yourself. Today, for example, I had a client who's been in 9 foster homes. This kid is 6 years old, very articulate. And he was telling his mom that he was scared about, it was something he was talking about, but he said because he saw the man get blown up. And the mom said, well, is he in the military? Because when people get blown up, it's usually with a bomb that's in the military. The point is, his conception, he didn't understand that. And he thought that, you could just blow people up. And she took the time to explain to him that blowing up a person is a military action. That's, so she gave him education so he understood. So I think it just starts with how we You know, when we watch Boys in the Hood with our kid, you know, when we watch Juice with our kid, I'm naming the movies that I watch with my 26-year-old kids. I
Right.
talk to them about what was on Tupac's mind, you know, when he had that gun and how Raheem's family is affected now. And we talk about the aftermath. Don't just wait for the credits to come up and all right, good night. Now let's have a dialogue and a discussion about what we just watched. When we
Right.
hear that song, let's have a dialogue and a discussion about listen to that song with your son. Listen to, you know, the gun violence song that he's talking about and understand what he thinks that mean and question them and what would you do in that situation. Because, you know, the latest thing in New York is the drill scene, which originally starts from Chicago. So now you got the gangbangers that's really bringing gun violence and all that to the forefront. They're making it more exciting for the youth to be a part of this new culture. It's kind of getting scarier.
Right.
So
Right.
I think it starts at home with being a part of your kid and talking to your kid and, you know, having that conversation and teaching from a young age.
Right. Right. So one of the things I always think about when it comes to gun violence is pops in my head is reduction. Reduction. How do we reduce gun violence? How do we reduce guns? Period. So, Kim, do you think if the penalties were a little stiffer, it would deter some of the youth in our community to not even mess with guns? Because in certain states, it's 5 years flat. Like there's no getting out of that. It's 5 years if you have a gun. In some states, you know, you might get a slap on the wrist. But do you think that if stiffer penalties will reduce the mindset of a youth with a gun, or you think probably just in that survival mode, just they ain't worried about the effects and the consequences. It's just the here and now.
It's the here and now. They're definitely not thinking about that. They're not thinking about that because think about it. Samad was killed by allegedly, I have to say allegedly, 5 kids, 18, 18, 21, 16, allegedly. How did we get here? How did you even think that this you should do this? You understand what I'm saying? So I don't think that stiffer penalties even matter because we all thought we were invincible back then. Like we were doing things too. I mean, not that far, but like we just were involved in things and we didn't think about the consequences.
Right,
So
right,
stiffer penalties to me don't do anything. I'm just gonna go right back to what I said at the beginning. Like the the programs, what programs we have in place, what are we teaching these kids? Going to see Dr. Cromwell, like I really, who is going to go see a black therapist? Like how many, who knew that you even existed? You know what I'm saying? Like, and like you said, you don't think about a therapist being a black man that another black male can relate to. So putting these things in place and allowing putting the word out like how you are, so they know that yeah, we have black people that look like you that are doing these things and we just have to get into the community. I don't think that stiffer penalties would mean anything to them because the music glorifies you being like that. It glorifies taking the pills. It glorifies doing the drugs. It glorifies the guns. It's all glorified.
right, right. And I can tell you, hip hop has definitely changed from when I used to listen to it. I mean, there was some stuff in there, we thought that was bad, but it seems to just elevate, like when Self Destruction came out, we was on this peace trip, like, yo, let's piece the beef up, yo, you know what I'm saying? But yeah, I think hip hop plays a big role too. I really do. Kev, what do you think?
You know what? It goes back to your point about you asked before about guns, and I think it should be one law across the whole United States because, like I said, if you go in, I was in Biloxi, Mississippi. I walked into Walmart. I was down south, my first time really down there. In the Walmart, you can go buy a gun, or you can show your license to buy a gun.
Yeah.
You go to Walmart in New Jersey, there's no gun. Different cities have different laws, and then like I said, you got a buddy that lives in Florida that could drive a gun up here and sell it for higher than the price it was down there, and then you got guns on the street. So I think the law should be different. Like I said, I haven't experienced it what Kim experienced. I see it from afar, so I'll be remiss to even talk about something like this because I haven't experienced like she has.
Right.
You know, but from afar and out of respect for her, I can't really speak on it because I haven't really experienced what she experienced.
Right. And you know,
like, I don't want to give the wrong information because I don't, I don't know.
Right.
We just see from afar, but we have somebody that's dealing with it and still grieving to this day. And I pray for you, sister. Like it breaks my heart. And Dr. Cromwell, I brother, honestly, not to cut you off, thank you. Because I wish I was young again. Yeah. I might think about going to mental health because, and not to go off subject again about mental health, a lot of police departments are implementing mental health. I think the city of New York City is going to do mental health. You're going to start seeing mental health officers go to these locations when it's a dispute or something with somebody has a gun. I read that and I seen it. And I'm like, I think it's cool. And hopefully, doctor, it's you on the scene, because I know you know what you're doing, brother. So I respect that.
Well, and I appreciate that. But statistically, they say that 75, 85% of the people that do crimes don't intend on getting caught. So, the stiffer penalties, like Kim was saying, most people do it, don't intend on getting caught. And one of the things that we got to keep in mind is that we live in a capitalist country. Guns equals money, bullets. To me, I don't want to get into a conspiracy theory, but it's to keep America moving. Guns on the street equals bullets. In the wrong hands equals police officers doing their job, equals court personnel having jobs, equals judges having jobs. So it's an economic component to this. Right. If America really wanted to do something about it, they would. But the lobbyists, the gun companies, they know this is the way that the doctors get paid when someone gets shot. The mortuaries get paid when someone's life is taken. Probation officers get paid when they have to be over someone who had a gun. So it's a system that's based on the economics, not necessarily the heartache and the grief that our sister Kim feels. That comes second. That's the aftermath of it. The first thing that we're looking at is green. So in my opinion, I don't think there's ever going to be a way to really control guns on the street. I think we have to control the mentality of the person with the gun, like Kim said. And that's where I think, and we start off in the school systems now and getting them while they're in first grade and second grade. This is when the fraternities and sororities and different organizations need to go inside the schools and talk about these things and have it and have it in place. And when a kid is fighting in school, he should be ordered to go to counseling, not he should be ordered to partake in some type of counseling situations, and a lot of times with the right person that can change their attitude. You can catch them young.
Right.
So I think that's where we're at now.
Yeah.
Once they reach this age, I think they're already set in their mentality and they know what they know. So I'm looking like, okay, that's where we're at now, but let's go back to the future. Let's figure out what we do now.
Right. Right. And just to touch on what you said, Kev, I'm in Virginia, man, and I've seen I forgot I was at the bike shop. And there's a gun store right next door. I seen and the guy he had to be about 18, 19. He came in, he bought an AR-15, put it in the trunk, peace. And I remember the first time when I got down here, I went to Golden Corral. I don't know if they still had it up there. Guys got guns on the side, man. And it's just like, this is just too easy, man. And that's what bothers me, man. It's just like, Guy A walks into Golden Corral. Guy A has a gun. Guy B walks in Golden Corral. Guy C walks in Golden Corral. Guy B and Guy C got beef, and neither one of them got a gun, but they start fighting. Guy B beats up Guy C. Guy C gets mad because he got his butt kicked and sees Guy A with a gun. So Guy C goes to Guy A. Keep following me. Guy C goes to Guy A, tries to grab his gun. Now they fighting. But Guy C wants to get his gun so he could go shoot Guy B. And now you got 3 ABCs, and all of them going to be dead. 1, 2, 3. just because just the presence of guns, it just bothers me. I don't like it. I mean, I have no choice because I live here. But it was very uncomfortable seeing it. My neighbor, he just bought an AR. I think it was an AR-12. I think it's an AR-12 or 13. I don't know which one, but it's no joke, man. It's just too easy to get them. So I hope, I hope it just doesn't get that easy all across America to get guns like that, to actually legally get them. I think it should be a little bit more harder to get them, but that's a whole nother show. But I just want to I want to get a final thought before we wrap it up. I just want to get a final thought from all of you. Just give me your final thoughts, whatever's on your mind.
This year, I actually answered another podcast. They asked for like New Year's resolutions. For me, it's more of just motivating others, of trying to help the next person out.
Okay. All right. Kim?
A final thought. I just want us more as a community to work together. Just learning small things and big things. And I'm like, Kevin, I don't do New Year's resolutions, but the goals definitely are to reach back and touch the youth. They're easier to me for me to pull in and say, okay, let's do this different. I just want more, if we could support each other more in everything that we see on Facebook, you see on Instagram. Let's just be more supportive of Blacks in our communities and outside of our communities. Let's support our friends, our co-workers, or whoever, and everything that they're doing.
All right. Dr. Cromwell?
So for me, I live mental health from 7:30 to 7:30, sometimes Monday through Sunday. So I always speak from a mental health perspective because this is what I do when I get off of work. I'm doing calls online. So for me, right, what I would say is that as people, we need to stop perpetuating and shaming about mental health. When you hear someone say, yeah, I don't want to talk to her or him because, they got bipolar or they got anger management, instead of laughing along with that joke, ask them, how do you know that? How do you make that perception about somebody? Don't, correct people in the way that they say things, because, that means a person who really has bipolar is ashamed of it and don't want to deal with it because I become the butt of jokes or anger management, or, just people like to give out these terms. It's really shameful. Oh, he's on medication. He needs to be on his ADD medication, or she's only acting like that because she's crazy and she off her meds. Well, the person that really need meds is not going to be interested in taking it now because they don't want to fall in that category. So I think that when we hear people say things like that, we need to correct them and tell them the inappropriateness of that and how it's actually shaming people that have bipolar disorder, that have anxiety, that have these different things, instead of just going along with the conversation. I think if I'm out with some friends and they say something that's not correct about any genre of people, I say, hey, cool out with those type of things. That's offensive to that person. That's
Right.
offensive to me.
Right.
So
Right.
we need the micronisms is what we need to attack, and certain things that we just generally say in conversation, we have to watch how we say it and be aware of who can be impacted by that statement.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you. Thank all of y'all. Kim and Dr. Conwell, just tell me real quick how we get in contact with you about your organization.
Ladies first.
You going? Okay. You can find me. So the Wear Orange, actually, that's not my website. What it
Okay.
is because June is Gun Violence Awareness Month. And
Okay.
so we will wear orange in June, and that's when my Youth Over Guns walk is.
Okay.
So you can reach me, one family, one fight at yahoo.com. That's my email. I became an instant mentor to the kids. A lot of the kids already have my phone number, but you can reach me on Instagram, one family, one fight. Mama Two Up on Instagram. Two Up derives from Samad, that he would called himself Two Up, Mighty Two Up, and everything now is Two Up, which meant that he always went hard with his goals and everything he wanted to do in life. And I'm on Facebook too, One Family, One Fight, and then my name, Kim Banks.
All right. Dr. Cromwell?
So for me, it's pretty easy. DRC therapy. I always wear my hats with my company. You always see my logo. I'm trying to get my camera right. Maybe I can't, but I always wear DRC.
I got
name
you,
my
brother.
company after. I
I
named my
got you.
company after myself, Damon Raheem Cromwell. So www.drctherapy.com. You can always call. We could do virtual sessions right now. I'm licensed in many states, but the insurance boards have broken the criteria, so I can actually have telehealth sessions. So definitely reach out. I have 4 African American male practitioners that work for me. I have an African American nurse practitioner that works for me. So I have qualified, licensed people, which is important that they're licensed and that they've been trained to do this. So you can definitely reach me on my website and holla at me.
All right. So that's going to be it, man. I want to, Kim, Kev, Dr. Cromwell, I want to thank you for coming through, man. Stay on here. I'm just going to end the live, but thank y'all for tuning in. If you have any questions, leave it in the comments. I'm going to post this information in the comments, and I'm going to post it on the website too. So just, if you have any questions, leave it in the comments. And I want to thank everybody for watching. Thank you, 3, for being a guest. I appreciate it. Everybody be safe, and God bless.